All right, everybody, welcome to the WIRA market update. So, what an interesting day in the market. It was kind of after that little push at the end of the day on Friday, right? We had that little spike. You see the green bar there on the S&P 500, had one on the QQQ. Kind of interesting, right? Then over the weekend, everybody kind of digests that news. But guess what? This morning we had a surprise downgrade, right? Somebody called a sellout on Apple. And that kind of just dragged down tech. They had a pretty low target on it, and I guess they're kind of respected. We can pop over and see who downgraded that. We probably should know, right? But you can see Dow falls more than 100 points as Apple leads the tech slide. Wall Street awaits Powell testimony. That's kind of the double-edged sword right now. Is one, we have that Apple downgrade this morning. You can see they gave it a real low price target. Analysts said the company will face fundamental deterioration, blah, blah, blah. This is kind of a late pile on it, if you ask us. It's kind of interesting, and it really didn't beat the stock up too bad, right? It was kind of an interesting situation. Let's pop on over to the Apple chart and take a look. Let's pop Apple in there. There you go. And you see, it closed at that 200 level. That's kind of a barometer for Apple. And we were talking about this in our live room today. What we were talking about was back in the late 90s when the internet was becoming a thing. Cisco, CSCO is the symbol. The internet was built on Cisco, right? Remember those stocks for you guys that are traders back then? Juniper, Cisco, Pfizer, they were all the hot ones. Very tradable stocks. But back then, there used to be a saying: if Cisco traded under 60, the market was weak. If it traded over 60, the market was strong. The tech market. And it was very simple. At one point, it was 40, then it was 60, and then the crash came. But it's kind of the same with Apple now. If it trades over that 200, people kind of look at it like it's healthy. So people weren't really buying that, right? Little knee-jerk selling there, but then kind of the buyer stepped in and it kind of flatlined around that 200. Funny how it gravitated right around that. So let's see how things continue to shake out tomorrow. But we didn't do any trades today. We didn't add any trades today. We didn't change anything. We're still sitting on the WWE. WWE had a pretty deep pullback today, but we're going to stick with that because we know it's a low volume stock, and it was real low volume today. And it just kind of trickled down until it hit a little bit of a bottom, then it pushed back up. Other than that, the news was pretty much the same thing. The fight for 15, all that stuff, the election, blah, blah, blah. And so look, tomorrow we've got Pepsi announcing before the bell. We've got Levi Strauss after the bell. So it's a little soft start to earnings season. Then as we roll into next week, we'll start getting the banks and things like that, the more actionable stocks. For right now, we're sitting back and we're analyzing the market. What we don't want to do is buy into this pullback today and then have another little leg tomorrow. And then we're kind of sitting on some options that not only do we have to make what we originally targeted for it, but you also lose a couple days of time, right, while the market recovers. So we stood still. We're still in those 195s on the Qs, a couple weeks out on those. And we think the Qs, the Nasdaq is just having a little pullback today. Let's pop on over to the Nasdaq chart. And you can see those Qs. Same thing, right? A little gap down there, and then they kind of moved up. And then they kind of flatlined around about that 190 level. So we're just right outside the money on this. And you can see it had a couple gap downs here on the Qs, and they recover fairly quick. That's your news-driven nonsense. Then that's your sanity coming in. We think there's a big move coming in the Qs. Probably, it was maybe a little bit of a gift today. A little bit of a gift with a buying opportunity, but we don't want to be a little early on that gift. So we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. The big thing is Powell. Powell is on tap for Wednesday, and everybody's pointing to that, right? Do we get the rate cut or we don't get the rate cut? The market's banking on it, and I guess everybody's figuring that he's going to signal forward whether they're going to do that or not tomorrow. So we'll see, or Wednesday, next month, or the end of the month, excuse me. The speech is on Wednesday. So we'll see how that shakes out. A lot of potential news-driven stuff going on. But other than that, technically the market held up strong. You can see nice little momentum there in the last half of the day. The RSI is picking up real nice. The chart looks good. We're a little bit under that moving average, that 200, but we trade right around it. We should be popping right over it. You see, the last time we were under that 200, we had a big old gap up, big $3 gap up. And that's what we're expecting over the next few days. So other than that, gang, trade cautiously right now, especially with all these things on the horizon. Don't be over anxious to get into trades right now. Be very selective. And, we were looking at Nike on Friday. Nike had a good day today, kind of faded at the end, but again on that one, but it ran away real quick. So rather than trying to chase it, we stepped back, and we've got other hot list stocks that we'll look at. We're not going to chase a stock and get stuck at a top. Anyways, so look, let's see how things shake out going into tomorrow. Okay, we'll just do a nice quick update today. We're still in the QQQs, like we said, the 195s. We're still carrying those $85 WWE calls. That little $2.50 pullback today, little disappointing, but we know how WWE is a real thin stock, and the trading was super thin today. So it might have just been a little dull trickle down. We'll see how that shakes out. We're going to give this a little bit more time. Our oil play did okay today. Oil had a nice day. You can see it ended up flat, but we're happy with the bounce it's given us here at this level, coming off that bottom of that Fibonacci. We need to update our charts here, but we'll do that for tomorrow. Other than that, we're still in the steel play. We're going to sit tight on the steel play. We're in leaps on those. We're going to look to maybe add another layer to it and stuff as this trade deal materializes. Now, we didn't want to be in those leaps that long, but we did lay them out like that in case we don't get beat up by them. And right now they're trading right around break even and stuff. So we're happy with that. Not 100% satisfied. We would have loved them to blow up and had that trade deal a couple months ago when they thought they had it, right? But we put ourselves in a position where we can succeed regardless. Now, like I said, there's Pepsi reporting before the bell tomorrow. There's Levi Strauss after the bell. And let's go ahead and see how we shake out with Powell rolling Tuesday. We'll be rolling into that Powell speech on Wednesday. If anything, maybe take up a little protection. The VIX didn't give us much action today, but it's still cheap if you want to put a little protection in your portfolio in case something goes seriously wrong. We own some $16 calls, or we own some $14 calls, that we bought last Thursday just to keep in the portfolio. They're out about a couple weeks on those. Just for a little protection. So always protect yourself. Always make sure you got a nice, strong base portfolio. Our members know how we like to build it, and that way you feed those option plays. Option plays aren't always the play, right? Sometimes there's just nothing out there with options, and the way the market's going, it's just killing options left and right. So be cautious out there, all right, gang? We're still bullish on the market. We still think there's another all-time high coming. Just a little rinse today that was compounded by that Apple downgrade. So we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. We'll be back after the market with another update. You guys trade safe out there, all right? We'll talk soon.